In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to install Haas stainless axis pivot tensioners into wood post. We post a ton of really helpful cable railing tutorials here on our YouTube channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. The first step in this install will be to grab your hole marking template and mark your end or corner posts for the pilot holes that you'll be drilling for your axis pivot tensioners. Once your holes are marked, grab your drill and make sure that it's set to its highest speed setting. Using a 1/8 inch bit, drill the pilot holes that are needed for your end stops at each mark approximately 2 inches into your post. Go ahead and repeat this process for all of the marks on the post. Your axis pivot tensioners are going to be composed of 7 different parts: a stainless steel decking screw, an axis pivot receiver, a pivot receiver pin, an axis pivot eye, a turnbuckle stud, a turnbuckle body, and a turnbuckle swage stud. The next step in this install is to mount your axis pivot receivers to your post. Start off by securing a T20 star bit into your drill and set your drill to its lowest speed setting. Pass the stainless steel mounting screw through the axis pivot receiver and then drive the screw and receiver into the post. Continue drilling until the receiver fits snug up against the post. Use a flathead screwdriver to rotate the receiver in whatever orientation is needed for the run. Repeat this process for all of your remaining pivot receivers at the post. Now that all of your pivot receivers have been pre-installed at your post, the next step in the process is going to be to pre-assemble all of the remaining parts of your axis pivot tensioners. The first part that you're going to grab is going to be your turnbuckle body. Your turnbuckle body is right-hand threaded on one side and left-hand threaded on the other side. The left-hand threaded side of the turnbuckle body is going to be designated by a small indicator line that you see here. Thread your turnbuckle swage stud into the left-handed side of your turnbuckle body. Then thread the turnbuckle stud into the right-handed side of the turnbuckle body. When assembled correctly, the threads of both studs should be barely hidden inside of the turnbuckle body. Lastly, thread the pivot eye into the turnbuckle stud. Repeat this process for all of your remaining axis pivot tensioners for the run. Now insert your pivot tensioner into the slot in the receiver and secure it in place with the pivot receiver pin. Use a flathead screwdriver to tighten the pin in place. Grab your cable and then pull the cable hand tight so that all of the slack is out of the cable. With your cable tight, run the cable just over the top of the turnbuckle swage stud and mark the cable at the second measurement line on the stud. Use your cable cutters to cut the cable at the mark that you just made. With your cable trimmed, remove the turnbuckle swage stud from the turnbuckle body while preventing the turnbuckle body from unthreading. Insert the end of your cable into the swage cavity of your turnbuckle swage stud. Make sure that the cable is properly seated in the back of the cavity. Insert the swage stud into the die of your swager and position the die within the swage area on the stud. The swage area is between the opening of the cavity and the small indicator line that you see here. Once your stud is properly aligned in the die, close the handles of the swager to make your first swage. Slightly open the handles, rotate the cable about 90 degrees, and then make your second and final swage on the stud. Unscrew your turnbuckle body so that just a few threads on the turnbuckle stud are showing. Then insert the turnbuckle swage stud back into the turnbuckle body and then rotate the turnbuckle body until your axis pivot tensioner is hand tight. Okay, so now at this point you've got all of your axis pivot tensioners hand tight and you're ready to start your final tensioning. So whenever you do start tensioning up the cables in your run, you want to make sure that you're following a tensioning sequence. And the way that tensioning sequence is going to work is you're going to start off by first tensioning the cable that's in the middle of your rows of cable. In this case, we've got 6 rows of cable total, so technically we have 2 cables that are here in the middle, and we're just going to start with our cable that's on the bottom of those 2. First, you're going to get that cable nice and tight, and then you're going to move to the cable directly above it, and then below it. And that's basically your sequence. You're just going to continue on alternating between the cables on top and bottom, gradually working your way out until all of those cables are equally tensioned for the run. Alright, so now we're ready to start tensioning up the first row of cable in our tensioning sequence. And what we're going to need is going to be a vice grip along with an Allen wrench or a similar type tool. The first thing that you're going to do is clamp on your vice grip to your turnbuckle swage stud that your cable's attached to. Why you're doing that is to prevent that stud and cable from rotating during tensioning. If it does rotate, it's very easy for that cable to twist itself back and your cable is going to become untensioned. So make sure that that vice grip is securely fastened to that stud so your cable does not twist during tensioning. We're going to just take our Allen wrench and insert it through the turnbuckle body in our tensioning fitting, and then simply just rotate the turnbuckle body until your cable reaches the desired tension that you're needing for your run. And that is it. You're going to follow that exact same tensioning process for all of the remaining cables in your sequence until all of your cables are equally tensioned. Once you've gone through the entire sequence, check the cables to make sure that they are equally tensioned. If not, tension any cables that may be looser than others. With all of your cables now tensioned, this run is complete. If you feel like the Axis system is right for you, then feel free to click through some of our other Axis component installation videos. If you have any questions about Axis pivot tensioners, then drop us a comment below. And if you found this tutorial helpful, then be sure to give it a like. I'm Tyler with Haas Stainless. Thanks for watching.